This information should change to a big green light, which should make me very happy if it does. And it did. That's fun. Click on view on watch page. That's not the one that I want, but that'll work. Slowly getting there, everybody. Technical issues to start the day, but we are figuring it out. I don't know how that chat made it here, but that's kind of exciting. Is this just going to go live? Definitely not going to go live. No chance. So, how do I figure out how to give people this link? Copy video URL. Bingo. Drop that in here. Bingo. This in here. Myself.
We're Carvana, the company who invented car vending machines and...
That's an ad. So cool. Skip. All right, I'm almost positive that we are live. So, what's up, everybody? There we go. We've got people trickling in. Perfect. What's going on? Technical issues. It doesn't matter. Technical issues. What else is new? But we are here for the NBA Strategy Show, Thursday, October 31st, Halloween edition. We've got a little Halloween backdrop for everybody just to make the show fun. I know everyone will love that. Eye roll. Decent slate yesterday. James Harden went bonkers in a regulation game that looked like it had a score that went to 4 overtimes.
It almost went to overtime, too.
Which would, 200 in the cards at that point in time.
Yeah.
Just a fun slate, clear across the board. I'm Josh Engelman. I'm joined by Adam Scherer. We're going to break down another 3-game NBA slate. Adam, how did your Wednesday shake out?
Not great. It's one of those nights, it happens a lot. It's how I guess most slates go, where got a lot of stuff right, got enough stuff wrong where I didn't make money. But on slates like that, I don't think that there's really like negative takeaways. It's kind of just how things shook out.
Right.
It's not like there was something that I just like airballed on and I need to fix. So not the end of the world. How about you?
I think I was up like $6 or something stupid. Nothing crazy, but it made for 5 straight days of green, which I will pretty much take.
Being up $6 means you were up about $4,006 more than I was.
That sounds pretty desirable to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'll take what I can get. Go Nats, I guess.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
You watch it?
Yeah. Some of it, like I was recording the podcast during the middle innings, and then I was gonna go out to the bar and watch the end of it. So like I showered and stuff, got out of the shower, was like, yeah, I don't feel like going, but it still made me miss like another inning. But yeah, I saw the end of the game. Saw the end of the game, which was the most exciting part since they came back in the 7th.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I watched absolutely nothing, and I didn't know they won until this morning.
Did you see my messages about Garrett Cole? Because I found that hilarious.
Just that he was wearing the Boris Core.
So
hat.
they Zach Brittoned him and brought in like 3 relievers not named Garrett Cole in like a 1-run game once they took out Greinke. Or actually, they took out Greinke with a 1-run lead and then promptly gave up the lead. So I'm guessing that's what led to him being pissed off after the game. But apparently, when asked to do his post-game interview, he said essentially that he's not on the team anymore. Do I have to do it? And then when he finally did it, said that playing in Houston had been a pleasure. And was wearing a Boris Core hat.
So are we to assume that he will not be on the Stros next year? Like for sure?
It sounded that way, at least from what I saw. Like the tweets, I'm still like, I haven't seen the clip, but there were enough people tweeting it that I think it was real. But like when the tweets first came up, I 100% just thought it was like a joke. But yeah,
I would like that hat.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved like one of the quotes was, I'm technically unemployed. Do I have to do this when asked to do the post game conference? And then like another quote I saw was, I'm not an employee of the team. I guess I can do it as a representative of myself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's still an employee of the team. I don't think your contract ends at the end of the final.
I think it ends like at the end of the World Series. I think it might end at like midnight or something, but.
There's got to be a specific. It's not going to be like the last game played. I would assume.
Right.
I would assume it's
probably not.
Through I would either assume it's through October or through some date in November or through the end of like whatever their normal fiscal year is. So I would bet he's just wrong too. Although if anybody knows, it's probably Boris because that dude is a gangster when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
But this
Either
is
way, I think that if Cole were not pissed off, he probably doesn't make those statements.
absolutely. By the way, so Greinke was bad.
No, Greinke was really good. Greinke went, I think, like 6 1/3. Yeah, actually, I was about to DM you about that, or actually not DM you. I was about to tag you in the baseball channel and put you on blast. Yeah, Greinke.
I was about to gloat too here.
Yeah, Greinke almost single-handedly won that game. It was 2-0 Houston. He gave up a home run to Rendon, and then I don't remember.
Then he blew it. He gave up the home run to Rendon.
Yeah, gave up a single or a solo home run to Rendon. Gave up, I think. Oh, he walked Soto, but he actually struck out Soto. The umpire blew the call, and then he walked Soto. And then they took him out, and Kendrick immediately hit a 2-run homer.
6 1/3, 2 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks. Okay, that's a line.
Yeah, the second earned was on the Kendrick homer off of Will Harris.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? Maybe if they would have used Wade Miley, they'd have been better off. And that's why you don't. That's why I think they gave up too much in that trade. I still don't even remember anything that happened. I just remember rallying against it.
Yeah, I remember you were very much. I was thinking about it when it was like 2-0 and Greinke was shutting them down and beating Scherzer, and I was just like, oh yeah, I remember when Josh made this really strong argument about how Zach Greinke doesn't really even increase Houston's odds because when would he really pitch in the playoffs as he's pitching Game 7?
Wouldn't have ever expected him to pitch Game 7. That seems weird, right? Like just getting to that point.
Yeah, just the way it shook out.
Yeah, I guess if you're making that trade thinking we can use Zach Greinke in Game 7, then you succeeded in the deal.
Well, I mean, they didn't really have a choice. Like they were down, 2 games to none, then 2 games to 1. Like you weren't skipping Cole or Verlander at that point.
Sure. Oh no, I understand. I mean, it's just in their dream scenario, they're never pitching Zach Greinke in Game 7.
Oh yeah.
Like the day they make that trade, they're like, all right, he's gonna go in Game 3 and in relief in Game 6 or something, and we throw Verlander and Cole on 3 days rest a couple times.
Yeah, they if you told them that the Game 7 World Series matchup was Max Scherzer against Zach Greinke when they made that trade, they assumed something went sideways at some point in the playoffs.
You'd be like, oh shit, who got hurt?
Right.
Hey, at least we made the World Series though. So yeah, shout out to the Nats. Pour one out for the Expos, and a gigantic middle finger to the Redskins, because they're not getting one anytime soon.
They are not.
All right.
Yeah, it's like this is the first 2 team. I don't even want to say that I like the Nats. Like I do now, just because I kept getting tickets to the playoffs and it made it really fun. But I'm not like a Nats fan. I'm an Orioles fan.
Yeah.
But like the Caps are out of the DC teams. Like out of sports, I pay the least attention to hockey. But it was like sweet, like a team that I like actually won something for the first time in my life. And then the Nats win. But like the Wizards suck, the Orioles suck, the Redskins suck. Like the teams I actually really care about.
Gotta love it. Yeah. Orioles and Redskins is some tough fandom for like success.
Especially when you have the Ravens and the Nats. Like
it's true. Especially now with the Nats.
Right.
Yikes. All right, let's get into some stuff here. I've got lineup study pulled up from yesterday, hopping into the $8 on DK. Although, 1 second. Let's skip that one. Let's take a look at the $66 on DK, the rotation player. 200K prize pool, 50K to first. Keeping that scratch in-house. The boss man himself, Alex Baker, tops of the table, picks up the W. Also brought in a little binky bink on FanDuel, finishing second. The man behind it all, the guy, what's the dude from, I don't even remember the movie. It doesn't matter. A guy that you guys never see. Tom finished second. Let's just go with that. Chalkiest player in the $66 on DraftKings yesterday. Tell me if you're surprised. One, Nerlens Noel, 72.4% owned.
Yeah, seems about right.
There's really no way around having, like, I can't imagine. I don't know what the reason would have been to like really get away from that. Like there wasn't an alternative to him at that price tag where like you could swap to a different position. He became the value play.
Yeah, and center wasn't even. I mean, there were obviously good centers at the top, but it wasn't even like it was one of those slates where you had like a super underpriced like Towns, Drummond, Embiid type thing. Like they were good plays, but there wasn't as much opportunity cost at center on that slate as normal. So that didn't even really hold you back.
No.
And there weren't really any other great point per dollar cheap guys. Like everyone else that was cheap, it was like, God, I hope he shoots 8 out of 12 today.
Hit the old 12x, 39.5. That'll do it. That'll do it. I went full.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember how he had done last year as a starter. Not that I cared really about his totals, but obviously wanted to see the minutes. But yeah, he started like 2 games last year, had like 55 and 35 DraftKings points or something.
Speaking of minutes, do you know how many you played?
I don't.
I'm pulling it up now. So unless you already have that close, that should be you. 28. Okay.
Yeah. Huh, nailed that projection.
So I had 28 to start. And then I reloaded Alex's stuff and went to 24. And I was just like, I'm just going to go to 26 because no matter what I put in here, it doesn't matter. Like his number doesn't matter. It's just sort of, does that bring like Mike Muscala or something into play? Because whether it's 24, 26, or 28, you're getting him as the top point per dollar play across the board. Full stop.
I kind of had the same thinking, but my choices were between 28 and 30.
Okay. Once I saw like all the colors and stuff next to his name, I was just like, okay, I don't give, like, I'll just, cool, I'm done. You can't get somebody more than 100%, and I already had him at 100%, so wasn't a change I needed to make. And if I don't assign minutes, they assign like mildly replacement level minutes to equal out the rest of the team, so it doesn't like negatively affect anything else that I'm doing. So it worked out pretty well. What did RJ Barrett finish with last night? Please tell me he was terrible.
He was awful.
Thank God.
He had, I think, 14 DraftKings points.
He did. Everybody's just, RJ Barrett's safe.
I mean,
he's going to have games where he's just atrocious because he's not that kind of guy.
Like, he only played 32 minutes too, because of course when there's no other point guard, he's starting at point guard, he plays his fewest minutes. Yeah, I mean it was the best RJ Barrett spot we've had this year, just because that he has the ball even more. It gives him more opportunities.
Yeah.
But it's still RJ Barrett. Like he's playing huge minutes, but I think that, I don't know, maybe I was really surprised how much ownership he had.
He did not have it in this contest. 13%. I mean, I guess that's kind of a lot for that slate, but
yeah. I think in the 60. Are you looking at the 66 right now? He was 13.
Yes.
I think maybe it was the $8. He was a little bit higher even.
That makes sense to me. Just look, rookies are usually bad a lot. It's no indictment on his future talent or anything like that, and I understand that he's going to get a lot of opportunities, but there are going to be nights where he just bagels a lot. Like that's going to happen pretty regularly in the NBA season. You can't expect him to pull down 15 boards every game.
Yeah, he was just like at a weird price point too, because you had like the Marcus Smart value open, but then he wasn't that much cheaper than like Brogdon or even Gilgeous-Alexander, who obviously didn't have a very good game either, but plays big minutes. Like I don't know, it was just a really, really weird price spot for Barrett, at least on DraftKings.
Let's take a look at Alex's lineup that got him the dub here. 389.5, so he won by 6.5 points. Obviously no dupes. Left $100 on the table. James Harden, check. Bradley Beal, check. TJ Warren, pedestrian day out of Warren, nothing crazy. Got Giannis too in this lineup, which didn't work out all that well. I mean, 53 fantasy points is 53 fantasy points, but you would have liked to see more there. Clearly Noel, Bogdanovich, Davis Bertans, and the 1% owned Aaron Baines went going for 58.75 DK points. Were you a fan of Aaron Baines yesterday?
I was. So when I was looking at it, it was just like, I think Baines is a good play because like he'd been losing a bunch of minutes to foul trouble. But at the same time, like I didn't get there, especially once Noel came.
Alex had 1.9% in this contest, so
yeah,
2 lineups, and then you had 0.
Yeah. How much Holmes did he end up with?
14.6.
I'm really curious. So in the $66 Holmes was, I think, 26%. I'm really curious if everyone like was able to late swap to him efficiently, or if people were just playing him and hoping for the best, because he'd had a big last game.
Yeah.
I'm kind of guessing it was the latter, which is kind of annoying because if he doesn't start, there was still a really good chance he played like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought, because once I late swapped, I was able to get to like 25%, I think.
I had a bunch of Deadman on FanDuel.
That's not good.
No.
What's
wrong with that dude?
Well, outside of the fact that Rashawn Holmes just is a monster every time he steps on the floor, but Deadman's just been in foul trouble every game. And then I don't know if he even played last night.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be good. I was like, okay, the Kings upgraded. That's a better Willie Cauley-Stein.
Yeah, he should be. Yeah, it's just that combination of like when you have a productive backup center and then your center constantly gets in foul trouble, suddenly the backup center starts to look like the starting center. Yeah, I played my DraftKings cash lineup in the $100 single entry, and it was doing really well. And then when I did all my late swapping, I forgot to exclude that lineup. Like I excluded my other head-to-heads. So I ended up swapping from Holmes and whoever my last guy was to Deadman and Bacon. So that lineup didn't do quite as well as it should have.
No, it did not. Just so that we can touch on one other thing here. Not the only bink for Alex. In the West Coast special, late night, 50K to first. Who do you think won the 50K?
I think by your lead-in that it was probably Alex.
He did chop for it, but yes, Alex finished at the top there. Tom JK321 finishing in... All right, this says fourth, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. Oh, okay, so... Oh, that guy finished third. The guy that chopped with Alex finished first and third. That's crazy. And then Tom finished fourth. Alex picking up a seventh as well. In this one, Terry Rozier. All right, these things are just in different orders. Terry Rozier, Curry, Buddy Hield, Rashawn Holmes, Baines, Lou Will, Saric, Booker. That'll do it. Getting there with Curry's fun, but on the late slate at 63% owned, it doesn't matter that he gets hurt, really. Especially with by the time he gets to 28.75. Curry, broken hand, man. Warriors are going... You guys ready to watch D'Angelo Russell be absolutely terrible for however long Curry's out? Because this is going to be dreadful, man.
Did you see that play? Curry got so lucky.
It could have broke his whole arm.
Yeah.
It could have just folded. It's not like Baines falling on you is just some light body. It's one of the more dense guys in the league to do that.
Braced like entirely on the ground like that. I don't really know how it didn't snap.
No. I mean, they might be the worst team in basketball.
Have you seen the Hornets?
Yeah, thank God for Draymond, I guess. He's going to be real motivated.
Yeah, I'm sure we won't have any sort of Draymond drama there while Curry's out.
If I'm Draymond, I'm going to get my knee scoped or something. Hey, Coach Kerr, I'm going to be in Greece for 6 weeks until Steph's hand feels better.
That team's just going to be really annoying with just guessing between Jordan Poole, Alec Burks, Glenn Robinson.
It's a shame they don't have more young talent. Like, the ability to just say, screw this season, like 30 minutes a game for all these young dudes so that we can figure out what we've got.
Like Alfonso McKinney.
I mean, now he's on the Cavs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, at least they got to keep Marquise Chris.
Oh, I looked at the wrong line, but 31 minutes for however you pronounce Eric P's last name last night.
Pascal?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't... It's going to be a really rough stretch for the Warriors now. I would not want to be the Warriors.
I do enjoy Alec Burks when he gets minutes, though. From a DFS standpoint.
Sure. He's definitely a guy. Oh, okay. So that's why you enjoy him.
Yeah. Single entry into the slam like 2 years ago.
That's the way to win these contests, right? Not max enter, just throw in a single bullet.
Yep.
Alrighty. Plug time. Shout out to Yahoo Sports, the presenting sponsor of this show of the deeper dive of the Early Bird podcast. I have just dropped Emacs cash building blocks article into chat. This was yesterday's article. There's some information at the top on how to sign up at Yahoo. You can use the promo code AWESOMO to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Highly recommend you go check that out. They run no management fee contests from time to time. They've got a lot of different contests from low entry to high. They've got 150 max with CSVs now, but they still maintain a lot of their 10 max entries. It's just a really great place to play, I think, for the casual player. If you're playing a little bit less volume than if you're a lower volume guy, I think that the side sites are a little bit better for you. You probably see a little bit more profitability. Go check out Yahoo. And then if you want to sign up with us, promo code is just above my head right here. NBA Strategy. One big word. You can get 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus. Any monthly package you choose, we have them for individual sports. We have them for everything. Just enter that promo code when signing up and get 50% off. We have 3 games to talk about. Whoops, I'm moving the overlay around, which is not at all what I was trying to do. Reset transform. Let's see if we can move this screen back to where it belongs. There we go. Now we're dancing. Hawks Heat, Pels Nugs, Clips Spurs. Kind of fun, I guess.
I think it's definitely a more fun slate than Tuesdays.
I agree. So, you ready to dig into it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Actually, we got one question. Beefaloon. Josh, do you use Streamlabs or does Awesemo? We use OBS, not slobs. Same kind of story. If we were more active on Twitch, we would probably use slobs for some of the interactions. But since YouTube is our main cup of tea, base OBS is easy enough. And shout out to Jake once again for the new overlay and some of the graphics and stuff. We're looking good.
Other Jake, right?
Yes. Not Hockey Jake. We got 2 Jakes now. Somebody needs a nickname.
Yeah, I get really confused when I see just like it'll pop up, like Jake, and it's some message about like graphics and stuff, and I'm just like, why are you sending this?
Yeah, we need one of these guys we need to have them fight it out to see who gets to maintain Jake. I think it should just purely be on Hockey Jake. Like if he's having a good year, he gets to be Jake. If he's not having a good year, he has to find something else. That's fair. All right. First game up. Hawks and Heat. 105.25 implied total for the Hawks. 111.25 for the Heat. So 6-point favorites in Atlanta, which you would have thought would have been crazy, but then you remember what's going on in Atlanta. No Trae Young. Bummer. Although I guess the ankle injury is not nearly as bad as they first assumed.
And, they said if it was the playoffs, he'd play today.
Yeah. And they should absolutely make sure that he is perfectly fine.
Yep.
Also, no Evan Turner, or at least likely no Evan Turner. I believe he is doubtful right now, so I don't have him in either. Going to be a fun one for Atlanta. Let's start here. John Collins, the most expensive player on the Hawks, 8,700 on FanDuel, 8,300 on DK, 15,100 on Fantasy Draft, and $33 on Yahoo. How do you feel here about John Collins going up against Miami?
I want a lot of John Collins. His price tag came up, but the one thing about that is that he was really underpriced, so that's not really that important. 2, we finally saw him play 36 minutes or close to it in the last game, and that was without playing the last almost 2 minutes of the game. He had kind of been stuck in that like 32, 33 minute range, but we saw him completely unleashed there. And then 3, we had last season, he played a total of 345 minutes without Trae Young on the floor, 27.2% usage rate, 18.7% rebounding percentage. Assist percentage also jumped to 12.3%, averaged 1.2 points per minute, but contributing more in the assists, getting more usage, it obviously makes his ceiling even higher.
I just realized that we totally forgot to talk about something before we started.
What's that?
Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns getting into a bit of a brouhaha yesterday.
I still haven't seen that clip other than Ben Simmons putting Towns in a headlock until he tapped out.
Yeah. I wonder, like, people were freaking out when, like, the commentary was freaking out there, and I was just like, what if they know each other? Like, what if Simmons? Like, I don't know anything about it, but it's like, what if Simmons and Cat are just like cool off the court, and he's like, "Yo, man, like I'm holding him down because like we hang out in the summer."
I vaguely think like because I had the same thought, and I thought that they were like Fortnite friends because
right, they might be.
Like I know, I mean Towns obviously. I thought Simmons played with him like all the time.
He might. It's
Like,
like, look, I'm
totally
not.
wrong.
Because at first I was like, oh, Simmons didn't get the gate here.
Yeah,
it's like maybe it's just like we're like, I'm not holding him down because I want to strangle him. I'm holding him down because like we tight, and I'm obviously I can't hold down Joel Embiid. They are friends off the court. That's what they're saying. So yeah, don't they game together on Twitter? It's really weird. Like if they would have thrown Simmons out, I would have understood it. But at the same time, it's just like I would grab a buddy of mine too and be like, "Yo, man, calm
that's
down."
Actually that's a ton of awareness not to throw Simmons out.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm guessing they can probably just be like, "Yo, man, that's not how he and I like." I'm guessing you could just kind of be honest about that pretty quickly, and refs are like, "Oh,
yeah." But
cool.
normally you don't really get a chance to explain. I guess maybe they just did the. Yeah, I guess they like do the ejections afterwards.
Yeah.
Timberwolves
are trying to get Simmons suspended, I guess.
Really?
Probably per one person in YouTube chat, so we know it's true.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock. I mean, I would. Well, I don't know. What a Timberwolves scare.
I wouldn't really care. They're in a different conference and not playing again anytime soon, I assume.
Embiid, did you see how bad Embiid went in on Towns and like social media?
I saw the thing about his mom and everything.
Oh, well, I saw his mom going out like trying to jump the rail to get after Embiid.
Yeah, Embiid said something about her like flipping him off.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, he went in on Towns pretty hard about, not necessarily being a cat.
Yeah, and I saw he tagged Jimmy Butler about the third stringers.
Yeah, I love it. Mark Jackson predicted a 4-game suspension for Embiid on Philly radio this morning. Doesn't matter at all. I mean, if I'm the Sixers, it's like, cool. I don't have to pay Joel Embiid for 4 games, and he can't get hurt.
Right. And I don't have to do the whole, you're not playing today. Yes, I am thing.
Yeah. So that's perfect. All right. Back to the Hawks. Sorry. That's like a really big deal, and I totally forgot to bring it up.
Yeah.
I'm in for John Collins. 34% owned on FanDuel, 27 on DraftKings. Does that tickle your fancy a little bit more?
Yeah. I think that on a 3-game slate, that's really low.
I don't disagree. I'm trying to see what's around him. Well, the problem is we're all going to be ending up with quite a bit of Atlanta, or at least I think so. DeAndre Bembry should be the starting point guard for the Hawks. From everything that I've read, it's probably going to be some combo of like Kevin Herter and Cam Reddish being the backups in this scenario. Ty Wallace is looking to get some time. Didn't know that he was on the roster until I looked at the box score from the last game. What do you want to do with Jabari Parker and DeAndre Bembry, both in the mid 4s on the main slates or on the main sites? Yahoo Bembry is $11, but Bembry right now 50% owned. He is one of the more chalky plays of the day.
I think it's tough because the sites did a really good job. On Yahoo, obviously just play him at $11, but on FanDuel and DraftKings, they priced him up really quickly. This guy was, $3,500 on Tuesday. So I think he's more in line with his expected production. I think he's still a good play, but I don't think he's, like a phenomenal value where you can't be underweight on this slate.
Interesting. Okay. Well, okay, I see what you're saying there. Obviously, like on a 3-game year, you're obviously going to have a bundle just in some way.
Yeah, I mean, he played 1,043 minutes without Trae Young on the floor last year. Let me also take off Jeremy Lin. But overall, without Young, he averaged 0.92 points per minute. 470 minutes without Lin or Young, he averaged 1.07 points per minute. 21.3% usage, 23.1% assist percentage. Wonder how much of that was with Collins. Point being, he probably projects for somewhere between 0.9 and a little over 1 fantasy point per minute.
Yeah.
He played 95 minutes with Collins, 0.96 points per minute, 19.2% usage, 24.2% assist percentage.
Okay. I love him. It's hard not to. Just makes things really easy. Let me filter this.
He also played in the second half, when he started in place of Young, he played about 16 and a half minutes. So that would be, like 33 minutes over the course of a game.
I assume that he ends up being either like my first or second most owned guy on the slate for FanDuel.
Yeah. Now that I'm adjusting his baseline rates and stuff, he's coming in as, still, I think that like John Collins is actually a better value at his salary than Bembry is at his, but Bembry's still coming in as a really good play.
Yeah. In particular on a 3-game slate, like value is hard to come by. What in the world do we do with Jabari Parker? 36% owned on FanDuel, 42 on DK. Also 8,100 on Fantasy Draft.
You caught me off guard with that one.
How so?
Because normally when you start talking about salaries, like it's DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, and then we know that Fantasy Draft is basically double DraftKings.
Yeah.
And so when you said 8,100, I was trying to figure out like what you were talking about.
Yeah, gotcha.
He in the second half he played like 12 to 13 minutes. He closed alongside John Collins, which was good to see because a lot of their rotations he's been like just backing up Collins. It's still really tough because they could close like a variety of ways here. You could see Len closing, you could see Collins closing at center. So I think it's a spot where if the field's not getting to Parker, I'll be overweight. I ended up a little bit overweight last slate because his ownership projection came down so much. If he's going to be really popular, I think you can come in underweight.
Okay. Yeah, 36% on FanDuel, 42 on DK. I just don't know what they're going to do. Like, they've got a lot of minutes to fill, and they could conceivably play Jabari Parker a bunch at the 3, but they're just really thin at 1-2 type people. Hence, Ty Wallace getting some love. What else do you want to do with these Hawks? DeAndre Hunter is at 23% on FanDuel. Kevin Herter is at 20% on DraftKings, 3,400. Any of the other Hawks guys interesting to you?
Not really, because their salaries came up. DeAndre Hunter's up to 4,800. The center position's interesting because although Alex Len's up to 5K, he was 4,300 last time. In the last game, Len only played 18 minutes. He only played a total of 5 minutes in the second half. Bruno Fernando played 12 minutes and Damian Jones played 8. So that center rotation was really unappealing. But if you were to take Damian Jones out of it and you just got basically like a 38 to 40 minute split from Len plus Fernando, they start to be interesting. But we obviously have no idea if that's going to be what happens or not.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what to do with the rest of this team. I don't get the sense that I'll have much else outside of Collins, Parker, and Bembry with some sort of amount of Hunter on FanDuel just because of the way positions work.
Yeah, it's mostly Bembry and Collins for me.
Okay.
Unless Parker gets like really low ownership.
Let's go to the Miami side. Shout out to my boy Myers Leonard. Could have used a couple more points, brother, but I'll take what I can get. We got Bam Adebayo, 8,300 on FanDuel, 7,600 on DK, $24 on Yahoo, roughly 30% ownership. I like Bam Adebayo here. I like Bam Adebayo pretty much every night. How do you want to handle Bam?
Yeah, I agree. Good play. Like I prefer John Collins, but I think Bam is only center eligible on DraftKings.
Ooh.
Not saying that I disagree with that. It's just interesting.
Yeah, he's a power forward on FanDuel. $400 cheaper than John Collins. I do have John Collins ahead of Bam in that scenario, but clearly you can't get away from it. What do we do with Jimmy Butler? 9,200 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DK. 20% ownership. I'm not a huge fan of it, but he should roast Atlanta if he wants to.
Yeah, I'll say I think he's a good play. I talked about it with EMAC on the pod. I think it's really tough to really gauge what he's going to do on a night-to-night basis. Yeah. In 3 preseason games, he had a 20.5% usage rate. In his first game back on Tuesday, he had a 26.9% usage rate, which was second to Kendrick Nunn. The opportunities are obviously there for him. The salary, I think, is pretty much correct. So I would expect that I more or less end up around the field wherever they're at.
Okay. Does anybody else stand out for you? Goran Dragic, 6K on FanDuel, 5,800 on DK. Kendrick Nunn, Justice Winslow, both around 30% ownership on FanDuel. Everybody else is in like the teens or low 20s on DK. What else do we do with this Miami Heat team?
I think Kendrick Nunn is interesting at 5,600 on DraftKings. He still got 29 to 30 minutes last game. Like I said, he led the team with a 27.6% usage rate. He's very risky because he can obviously just lose out to Jimmy Butler any given day, but his salary went down from last game. The minutes were still there. The shots were still there. He had a 27% assist percentage in that game. I think that he's interesting, and like maybe people go to Tyler Hero because he had such a monster game, but he only had a 21% usage rate. He just made like every single shot that he took.
Yeah, I think I like Nunn. I definitely like Nunn more than Hero. I won't have any Hero, or at least any legitimate amount of Hero. 5,800 Dragic is a little too expensive for me on DK. I like him more on FanDuel at that 6K price.
Yeah, he played 30 minutes too.
Any Myers Leonard?
He is
34.
Yeah. 3,400 on DraftKings. Played 24 minutes last game, or 25 minutes. Still didn't get that fourth quarter rotation, which he hasn't been getting all year, but he got more run in the first and third quarters than normal. But at that price and on a 3-game slate, even if you're going to get 18 to 20 minutes, he's reasonable. If you're going to give him like 24 minutes, then he becomes a pretty decent value. So it's not someone that I want like my night riding on, but it's an almost minimum priced guy.
Eagle Eyes just said Durant out for the year. Is that news?
I don't think so.
Expects to miss the rest of the season. Yeah, we pretty much assumed that was going to happen for a while. He's not going to rush back from the Achilles tear just to tear it again in the first round of the playoffs for the Nets. I would imagine. So, oh, Tyler Hero, another one of those rookies that I'm just going to have to avoid like the plague.
My favorite part was seeing like some NBA people being like, "Hey, he played really well with Jimmy Butler in the preseason, and now look, he's doing it again." Like the guy made every shot he took. It has nothing to do with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, and he shot a ton of free throws in the last game. That's the only reason he got to where he got to. Fucking Andrew Wiggins.
He had a 94.4 effective field goal percentage.
You guys can't stream this at 1080p, huh? I changed that now. He had a what? Sorry.
94.4% effective field goal percentage. That doesn't seem sustainable to me.
Nope. No, it does not. Can I increase? No.
90.4 true shooting percentage. Do you miss some free throws?
Probably.
Yeah, only 12 of 16 from the line, 7 for 9 from the field.
Okay.
3 of 4 from 3.
All right, let's sum up this Hawks Heat game. Favorite plays, both sides.
Hang on, so I want to just point out one more thing on the Tyler Hero versus Kendrick Nunn at the same price point.
Sure.
I don't know where the ownership comes in. I don't know how much, like, for lack of a better word, steam Tyler Hero is going to get because of that game. But he shot the ball 9 times, and scored 41 DraftKings points. Kendrick Nunn, on the other hand, in the same number of minutes, shot the ball 18 times and scored 23 DraftKings points. I know which one I prefer.
Yeah, you and me both. So for me, it's Collins, Parker, Bembry as like, let's call them core plays for today. And on the Heat, it's going to be, at least for FanDuel, Bam, Goran Dragic.
Yeah, for me, it's Collins, Bembry, and then some Parker. And then on the other side, Bam, Butler, Nunn, Leonard.
I think this is an interesting spot for Jabari Parker in that they need to fill usage more than they normally do. And that dude, not shy about being involved offensively.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I think that he gets more minutes than normal.
Yeah.
Like I said, he played almost 13 minutes in the second half. He was essentially in their closing lineup. Like Bruno Fernando subbed in for him with a minute and a half left of like a 20-point game. So essentially, Jabari was closing with Collins at the 5, and I think that was really good to see. So yeah, the more I look at it, the more I like Jabari. And like you said, like in theory, it makes sense too, which I think is a big thing of trying to project rotations when you have a big guy out like Trae Young. Like, what do you need to fill? You need to fill scoring. You need to fill playmaking. Bembry can handle playmaking. Jabari can pick up some assists too, but you need another scorer out there, and that's not really Bembry. It's not Cam Reddish. It's not DeAndre Hunter. You can't put it all on John Collins. Alex Len's not doing anything offensively outside of grabbing rebounds and punking them.
Don't sleep on Ty Wallace. Like,
are you saying that?
I'm saying, yeah. So like, I'm saying that you can't really project him to be anything crazy, but like, I can see. I wouldn't be shocked if he played like crazier minutes than normal today, just because of this particular scenario, to get like more creation involved in the offense.
Yeah, I mean, I think he plays like 20, 22 minutes.
Oh, okay. I gave him 16, so then we are on.
Or wait, no,
100% don't sleep on Ty Wallace if he plays anything into the 20s.
I'm bad at math. I think he plays 18 to 20.
Okay.
He played 8.5 in the second half, 14.4 total. So,
good to know that you're bad at math, though. That shouldn't hinder you whatsoever in this industry. All right, let's hit the second game now. Pels, Nugs, 112 implied total for the Pelicans, 115 for the Nugs. Drew Holiday should be back here. Unfortunately, Derek Favors, not so much. Not a lot of ownership going to the Pelicans, which I think is fascinating, but pricing is mostly dictating that. 22 and 14% respectively on FanDuel and DK for Drew, 26 and 22 on Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram is 9K on FanDuel now. Lonzo 18 and 8, and then no one else in double digits. Let's start with Drew Holiday, 8,800 on both sites. What do we do with him?
Roster.
You like him today? I don't like him on DraftKings at all.
I mean, to some extent, yeah. He's still he should be the number one guy on this offense.
He great, like, just in like a raw ranking perspective. 31st of all the players on this slate for DK today. For me.
Seems low.
That price is difficult. Yeah, behind noted studs like Zubats.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's like a ton of extra value at that salary, but I don't think I kind of feel similarly to how I do about Jimmy Butler. Like, I think that, Butler's a little bit cheaper, so I like him a little bit more, but I think that it's kind of like he's fine where he is. It's obviously the one thing that is disappointing is it's a really tough matchup, and even more importantly than that, it's a slow Denver team.
Yeah. So Butler 9,200 on FanDuel, Drew 8,800. Who would you prefer?
I give the slight edge to Butler.
Ooh, okay. In this regard, I'm taking Drew. We're all over the place on this one. We haven't gotten to him yet, but DeMar DeRozan 7,800. He's the next closest guy to Drew at shooting guard. Would you rather have DeMar or Drew?
You said DeRozan was 7,800 and Drew was
8,800.
I think DeMar.
Okay, same. What do we do with Brandon Ingram? 7,900, a little bit more reasonable on DK. 9K on FanDuel. He's $1,300 short of Kawhi and $1,800 more expensive than Justice Winslow. I just can't pay 9K for Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, what's his ownership right now? I'm trying to pull up the rotations from the last time that Drew played. But Ingram coming off of a monster game, I assume, is going to have a lot of ownership.
26% on FanDuel, 22 on DK.
So one really interesting thing about Ingram, in addition to, obviously with Drew being back, you can project a little bit less usage for Ingram and a little bit less ball handling responsibilities. But in the games that Holiday missed, Brandon Ingram was playing with the second unit. So you were getting a bunch of minutes of Brandon Ingram, Kenrich Williams, Frank Jackson, Alexander Walker, and then, Jackson Hayes or whoever else. That's basically Brandon Ingram playing point guard and just doing everything when he's on the floor. The last game that Holiday played, Ingram didn't stagger with the second unit because you had Josh Hart out there. So I think that if we expect that to continue, that also hurts Ingram's production. And it's a situation where, he's still a really big part of this offense. He still gets a lot of rebounding opportunities because of playing at the 4, and he still is perfectly capable of having a big game. But his salary has risen as a result of some things that make him more productive than he will be with Holiday back.
Yeah, for 9K, it's really hard for him to pay that off. I find these Pelicans interesting though, just because they're picking up so little ownership on a 3-game slate. Is it as simple as just being there?
They're just not that favorably priced, and
I
it's
know.
a tough matchup. I mean, we see it all the time when a guy like Drew comes back. It's gonna be the same thing when Trae Young comes back for the Hawks. Everyone's priced up because of what they were doing and how many minutes they were playing without Drew. And now you get Drew back. He's not at a super appealing price point, and then everyone else is $1,000 more expensive than they were when he left.
Mark Smith in YouTube chat. This is great. Congrats to Adam and his Nats.
Yeah. Favorite team, love them. Have always been a huge Nats fan.
You're appropriating this. If this were something else, man, you'd get in trouble for it. You can't appropriate fandom. Legalize is already beating me to it. They haven't even heard this yet. Mark, he roots for Baltimore. It's fantastic. Yeah, there's just no ownership coming.
No idea what you're talking about with Baltimore.
No ownership coming to these guys. What do we do? It doesn't appear that Jahlil Okafor is going to get a large chunk of minutes. You have to assume that Jackson Hayes gets a little bit more. Nikola Jokic is going to embarrass Jackson Hayes in this spot.
Less than he will embarrass Jahlil Okafor, though.
I don't know.
So the thing here is that we saw. So against Golden State, Okafor and Hayes combined for about 36 minutes. I think they combined for more than 36 minutes today against Jokic and Plumlee.
I gave them 34 as of right now, but I get where you're going. It was something that I thought about. This is a very different scenario. Do you think that this is just the spot where Okafor gets more? Like, Jackson Hayes is not ready for Nikola Jokic. He's not ready for Mason Plumlee either, to be perfectly honest. Like, he is a very, very raw rim runner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to project it. I think that Okafor gets more than 12 minutes.
Yeah, I gave him 16. If you told me it was 26, I'd be like, yeah, they probably needed that.
Right.
Here's the big piece of it all. 8% owned on FanDuel and 6 on DraftKings. Is this a place to take a stand?
I have no issue being overweight on either of them and hoping for the best. Because I'm assuming Hayes doesn't have much ownership either.
None.
Yeah, and that's this is one of those spots where people always make the comments about, oh, if I had 150 lineups. This is the kind of spot where that does give you a huge edge. Yeah. Because if you ask me which one has a better game out of Okafor and Hayes, I have absolutely no idea. But
I mean, it should be Okafor, but Hayes could just get the minutes.
Right. But I think there's a really good chance that one of these guys at almost minimum salary has a good game in a matchup where there's going to be 48 minutes of 7-foot tall centers.
Yeah, they don't have any other choices. So
I mean, like Melly will still steal some minutes, but they haven't really wanted to play him all that much anyway. So this would be a weird matchup for them to be like, all right, we're really going to let Melly go in this one.
Yeah.
Like, Melly played 12 minutes against Golden State. It would be really weird if they were just like, all right, now that we're facing this giant front court, get out there and play 22.
This is going to be the piece of information we need the most. Game locks at 9:30, so we probably won't know lineups or anything like that. Would you just be willing to bet on the starter?
I think it'll be Okafor.
I would think so too.
And also, I just double checked it, but all 48 minutes at center against Golden State were one of Okafor, Melly, and Hayes. Yeah. It's not like they did anything like super weird.
Okay. I would say that those are the only guys that I'm really interested in this game, like with where I'm going to feel bad if I don't have them. As weird as that sounds.
Do you think? Yeah, I just don't know what to do projection wise.
I know.
Like, okay, so Okafor did pick up 2 fouls early against Golden State. He didn't sub out immediately at his second, but he subbed out within a minute and a half. Picked up a third foul, so he lost the final 2 minutes of the second quarter. Or sorry, the final almost 4 minutes of the second quarter. All right, so let's say he played 5.5 minutes to open the third. So let's say we add an extra minute to his first quarter run. puts him at 5.5, and then we add 4 minutes to his second quarter run. So instead of playing 7 first half minutes, he would have played 11, 12 first half minutes.
Yeah. Run that back, 24 at the minimum.
And then when you look at the second half, which is where he only played 5.5 minutes, the game was out of hand. It was like a 30-point Golden State lead. Jackson Hayes scored 13 points in the fourth quarter. They basically ran the same rotation in the third quarter that they were running in the first half. The only difference is that instead of Jaleel subbing in for Jackson Hayes halfway through the fourth quarter, Jackson Hayes played the entire quarter. Okay. So I think my best guess right now is I would give Jackson Hayes something like, so Jackson Hayes played, if you ignore the Okafor fouls in the second quarter and you pretend Jackson Hayes never came back in, he would have played about 6 first half minutes. So like, I think you could go like 24 Okafor, 12 Hayes, or maybe steal some minutes from Melly. The problem there is that Melly didn't play any minutes at the 4. So I don't know that Melly plays less than 12 minutes.
If we project Jahlil Okafor for 24 minutes, he's the best play on the slate.
I feel reasonably confident in that too. Just looking at how this rotation went.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think makes me feel a little bit less confident is, do they reward Jackson Hayes for playing well in that fourth quarter? But
it's possible. I think they have plenty of time to see what they want there.
Even if you go like 20 minutes for Okafor and 16 for Hayes.
I drop him. I switch to 24 and 12 there. If I go to 20 and 16, Okafor is still one of my, like, he's a Bembry clone at center for me on FanDuel, and then he's in the mix as a value play, comparable to like Trey Lyles in my stuff.
All right, so
anything
the main
above 20 is you need to have a lot of Okafor. It's that simple.
Right. So as long as Okafor is starting at center, I really like Okafor. It's just a matter of how much.
Right.
Because I think that based on the rotations last game, 12 minutes was not the game plan for Jahlil Okafor there.
No. Everybody's all someone's worried about like using Okafor over Jokic on FanDuel. Yeah, I'll be doing that quite a bit. I don't see a way around it.
The other big question again is, can like Melly just DNP here?
Good. Seriously good.
Yeah, I mean, so if you go back to the game on the 25th against Dallas, Melly played 2 minutes in the first half. Then he got a bunch of second half run to get to 14 minutes total. Like it's really hard for me to say he plays 0 minutes, but maybe like loses a couple and gets to like 8, and that's how you get like 24 from Okafor and then like 16 from Hayes.
Denver is just uniquely set up to cause havoc for a team that doesn't have like a legitimate center ready for you.
Right. And you generally see coaches approach this in like one of two ways. One, they play their guys and they're fine being undersized at center. And they just deal with it. But the fact that Gentry really just hasn't seemed that interested in playing Melly makes me think he's going to be more reactionary to what Denver does than be like, here's our undersized 3-point shooter, deal with it. I think there's a better chance that he's just like, okay, we're putting our big guys out there.
Let's say this holds right now. Jahlil Okafor, 8% on FanDuel, 6 on DK. Where do you think you end up? Because the number's way bigger than 6.
It's a lot bigger than 6.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect to have 40 to 50.
I would expect to have more than that if that's the ownership.
Yeah. Well, I'm speaking from FanDuel.
Oh, okay, yeah. DraftKings. I'd probably be close to all in, and if Okafor just sucks, then because the thing is too, he's still only 3,400. So at the end of the day, like, let's say I'm completely wrong, or the game goes sideways and Jokic gets him in foul trouble immediately, which certainly can happen. He's 3,400. We saw it. I think the tournament winners on Monday, like a lot of them had Okafor in his 15 points just because he was 3,100 and he opened up so much else.
You can die on a cheap guy.
Right, exactly. It's so difficult for that salary to hurt you.
Yep.
If he were 4,200 even, there would be a lot more risk here. But I think a big thing for me is I want a lot of my lineups to have at least, or not at least, exactly one of Okafor or Hayes.
Yeah, I definitely don't want them together.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, if you're playing on fantasy, like if you're using Fantasy Cruncher today, set that rule. They will not be on the floor together, I promise. And there's a decent chance that their minutes don't even add up to 48.
No, I think they'll add up to somewhere between 36 and 40.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that I'm going to end up with a staggering amount of Jahlil Okafor at this point in time. I don't know how to get away from it. Because I have a hard time thinking that he plays less than 20 minutes, barring like aggressive foul trouble. And if that's the case, then, I'm going to have Okafor and Hayes.
One of the sites I look at for a reference has Melly at 24 minutes. I don't know how long it's going to take for people to figure that out.
Hopefully they don't
happen.
I'd happily avoid that one. All right, let's go to the Denver side. Nikola Jokic, 10-4 on FanDuel, 10K on DK, $45 on Yahoo, 55% ownership for FanDuel and DK. That's not like added together. That's individually.
That seems perfectly fine to me.
Yeah, I get nervous on a slate like this because obviously this matchup plays really well for Nikola Jokic. We see him a lot just kind of be the 7-foot point guard of the team. He has those days where like, oh, I'm just going to shoot 3 times and have 12 assists. Right. Like on FanDuel, it's Jokic at 10-4, then you drop all the way down to Harrell, and then you have another big drop until you get to Len. And it's Len, Zubac, Olynyk, Jake Puddle, Mason Plumlee, Myers Leonard, Jahlil Okafor. So it's basically a 2-horse, really a 1-horse race plus value on FanDuel. So it's really hard to get away from a lot of that ownership. On DK, he is the most expensive player. Do you like him more than Kawhi?
Absolutely.
Okay. After that, like there aren't any other comparable guys. And if we have Jabari Parker, DeAndre Bembry, Trey Lyles we'll get to, Okafor in this case, Jackson Hayes in this, one of the New Orleans centers, there's enough value here that I think that you can get to Jokic at 10K without even batting an eye at it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's not like you have a Harden, Westbrook, Giannis slate or something. There's no one really that is comparable to him. Kawhi is the really only guy at the top that compares, and Jokic does more in basically every category than Kawhi, and in a competitive game plays more minutes. So, I have no reason to get away from Jokic. The only thing that I would add, and it's the same thing I mentioned on the last 3-game slate he played on, every single minute that Jokic is not on the floor, Mason Plumlee is on the floor in the same great matchup. Mason Plumlee is 3,400 with Ford eligibility on DraftKings.
Unowned.
If he plays 15, 16 minutes, he probably doesn't kill you. If Jokic gets in foul trouble, the game blows out, does something else, gets ejected, like who knows? But if Plumlee just gets to 20 minutes, he's one of the better plays. Yeah. So, and obviously the reason I point that out is it's a direct leverage play against one of the highest owned plays on the slate in Jokic. And in lineups where I don't have Jokic, I really like the idea of having Plumlee and being overweight on Plumlee because it just takes one small thing to go slightly wrong for Jokic, and suddenly you're overweight on the best value play on the slate.
And just like we talked about for the Pelicans, if you happen to have too much Mason Plumlee, your downside isn't really downside.
Right.
He's going to be involved at a minimum the opposite amount of minutes for Jokic.
Right.
And you're still paying nothing.
Yeah, I mean, the example that I only have to go back to Tuesday when I played, I think, like 15% Plumlee, but I had a team in the $44 or whatever it was that had the Lakers game not blown out, I probably win the tournament, and I had Plumlee at 15 points at power forward.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get there. You can essentially bagel a cheap guy. Like I really like the idea of Plumlee here. The centers are going to be a hell of an interest. Like, man, that's the one thing you would want to know, right? If you could have information for tonight before the slate, like you had an almanac, the amount of minutes that the centers played in this game would be probably the most valuable piece of information.
one of Plumlee, Hayes, Okafor wins tournaments tonight.
Yes, agreed. Maybe 2.
Yeah. And now this is perfectly set up for the 30-minute melee game. I made fun of his minutes. I excluded him just now when I talked about cheap centers. But yeah, I think that one of those guys is a key tonight.
Anybody else from Denver for you? Jamal Murray in the mid-40s in ownership, and he is popping big time for me. So much so, in fact, that he is my second ranked guy on DK for the entire slate. 6,600, 7,100 on FanDuel. Outside of some of the major value guys, he is at the top for me. I want to have a lot of Jamal Murray.
Yeah, he looks really good to me too.
Yeah. Any Millsap, Will Barton getting a little love. Will Barton in particular, 26% owned on FanDuel, 30 on DK. I had a ton, whatever day they played, Tuesday or Monday or whatever.
37 minutes.
You gonna go to Will Barton for 5K?
Yeah, I'm not projecting him for 36 minutes,
No.
but I do still think he's a strong option. Millsap's interesting too. I think that Millsap probably plays closer to like his 26 to 28 minutes than the 32 he played against Dallas. That is a really big Dallas front court. But Millsap is productive when he gets minutes. It's just that I don't think Denver's trying to run him into the ground, and they do have a competent backup in Grant.
Anybody else from this Denver-New Orleans game? I think we did a good job breaking this down.
So yeah, I think that the rest of the Denver guys is just kind of like guys that you can rotate through, whether it's Millsap, Harris, and also we talked about it on Tuesday, but Denver is a team where Plumlee is like the main example there of just a guy needing one thing to break in his favor, and he gets a lot more minutes than people are projecting. But this whole team is like that. If something goes wrong with Millsap, Jeremy Grant gets more minutes. If something goes wrong with Murray, Monte Morris gets more minutes. Beasley for Harris. So it's the kind of team where on 3-game slates they can actually be pretty fun because you don't have to get that creative to figure out how one of these cheap guys comes through at no ownership.
There we go. We got one game to go, but a little bit of a plug to you. First and foremost, everybody, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. We've got 657 of you guys in here. That doesn't feel like nearly enough likes yet, so please hit the thumbs up.
That is a lot of people at 10:30 in the morning.
It is, man. We are very popular. Turns out, a lot of people want to show up for the best NBA show in the industry.
Turns out a lot of people just are really uninterested in their jobs.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's pretty much how I got this job. I was sitting at my other job, saw Tom make a post. I assume it was Tom. Make a post saying they were looking for content creators, and sent him an email within an hour. And I've seen a lot of emails that we get. It was significantly better written.
If we go back to how I initially got my offer, it's way cooler because I was sitting at like the hotel bar at the W the day before going to the Playboy Mansion, and someone came up and offered me a job.
I was sitting in my cubicle thinking, is today the day that I cut myself with this broken CD that's been in this drawer for 4 years? They gave me a desk, but they didn't clean the drawers when I went back. So I was at this job, left for a bit, and then came back again. They gave me this desk that was still like dirty. The film that used to be on top of CDs that would like chip off of burnt CDs? Yeah. There was like an ounce of it broken off into one of my drawers. It was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, hit that like button. Nobody cares where I worked previously. But we do want to touch on some of the things we've got going today. Coming up after this, Laffy and Sal talking some NFL strategy at 11 a.m. Ben and the boss man, Alex Baker, doing their NFL Showdown video at 12:30 Eastern. Shit, I don't know who plays today. 49ers and I don't know who they play. Cardinals. That's not a fun game. But they will be breaking down all of their showdown strategies today, 12:30 Eastern time. Jake will have his NHL show at 4. Alex will have his game plan show behind the paywall at 4 as well. Deeper dive at 5 with Laffy and Adam. And then live before lock, get ready everybody. Chris Spags, Fast Eddie Fear, taking you up to 7 o'clock. Check it out. I do believe I have another plug as well. Let me see if I can find it. Social, too many different channels. Can't remember where anything is. Daily marketing plan. Got it. Today, top showdown and single game plays is the free content for the NFL. The deep dive coming from Laffy today in the early afternoon will be the free content for the NBA. And we will be having a Thursday night football giveaway. Details to be announced. Check the Twitter account for it. Final game, late night hammer, LA Clippers, San Antonio Spurs, 115.25 implied total for the Clips, 110.25 for the Spurs. Kawhi back after taking a load management day yesterday, 10-3 on FanDuel, 9,500 on DraftKings, in the 30 to 40% owned range. I don't have anything fun to say. You know what you're getting out of Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I think, as always, better on FanDuel than DraftKings.
Yep, 10-3, man. Whew. But I'd rather have Kawhi than Brandon Ingram, and after that, you're dropping all the way down to Justice Winslow. After that, you're dropping all the way down to Will Barton. Small forward's really tough. There's not really like a key value play available. I assume that Kawhi Leonard is one of my higher owned guys just because of the way this works. And now, with all of the center eligibility, I can see Jokic falling off. Or probably getting them both. There's probably going to be enough money to do so. Lou Will, 7,400 on FanDuel, 6,800 on DK, around 30% ownership. You have interest in Lou Will. He's popping a little bit for me, but I might need to take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whenever he's in the mid-range, he's a good option. You know, he's not the best point per dollar projection usually because his minutes fluctuate and you can't be that confident, but he's going to chuck shots. He's going to pick up assists. I'm always interested in Lou Will and Harrell.
Okay. Harrell not popping like crazy for me. I don't know what to do with that dude. 6,400, I would have thought I got a ton, but I don't really have it. I just like on FanDuel, I think that basically all of the Clippers are in play in some sort of way. Like everybody is just sort of slightly underpriced based on my data. I get the sense I'm going to have I'm going to have shares of 9 different guys: Patterson, JaMychal Green, Mo Harkless, Shamet. I can't really get away from anybody on FanDuel. On DK, I'm a little bit less enthused.
I think there's a really good chance that Harrell ends up being a good tournament play today because he played 14 minutes last night. And he's one of those guys that people already have it in their head that his minutes are really unstable. The reason he played 14 minutes was he picked up 3 fouls in the first half in a total of 2 minutes and 53 seconds. So that's all he played in the first half. But when you have, like, it's still early in the season, people still have their, biases based on how things went last year. Just look at Malcolm Brogdon's ownership every night. And, so it's going to be, oh yeah, some games last year, Harrell played 30, some games he played 18. Yesterday, he only played 14. That had nothing to do with anything.
Harrell at 7,200 is tough for me on FanDuel just because we have Jokic and now we have all those value guys. And with one center, you just kind of run out of ownership for everybody. Yeah, agreed. 6,400 with forward eligibility on DraftKings is, he's only projected for 16% ownership right now. Okay. On the Spurs side, because I don't think we have anything else that we really need to touch on the Clips. Aldridge and DeRozan are the 2 guys that I want the most. I prefer DeRozan on FanDuel. I prefer Aldridge on DK. DeRozan is $700 cheaper on FanDuel, only $100 on DraftKings. What do you want to do with Aldridge and DeRozan?
I agree with you on both. Neither one looks like a core play for me. I would rather roster John Collins than Aldridge. Ownership agnostic, obviously that will make a difference. But DeRozan is there. He's underpriced, but there's also cheaper and more expensive guys that I like. So I think that from this team, they're the 2 that clearly I have the most interest in, but I'm not sure that either one really, or I don't really think either one ends up a huge priority for me.
Okay. We got a lot of guys getting ownership here. Rudy Gay, 38 on FanDuel, 23 on DK. He's 4,600 and 4,500 respectively. Am I missing something here? Because he is not looking like a guy that I'm going to get 40% of.
Well, it depends. If he plays 19 minutes, then no. If he plays 28, then yeah.
That's true.
And I think those are his last 2-minute totals.
Well, at 23, it's a no. So we'll see where that ends up. Trey Lyles is the guy popping up most for me. 3,800 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DK. Looks to be a viable value play once again. They're playing LaMarcus Aldridge more at the 5 this year, and Jake Puddle getting a little bit less minutes. So, do you have any interest in Trey Lyles?
Yeah, looks pretty good for another, like 24, 25 minutes. Still only 3,500 on DraftKings. I think he's a good value.
Okay. About Derek White, Bryn Forbes. Forbes just playing a ton of minutes. Just kind of fits in wherever for this team. What do you want to do with the rest of this team? Any DeJounte Murray? Because he grades out real bad for me.
I mean, I wish he wasn't on a minutes limit, but he is. And Pop made that very, very clear after, I think it was their last game. If not, it was the one before that. But Murray played 22 minutes and they like asked Pop. It was like a close game. I think that's, yeah. So I think it was after the Portland game. Looking at the game flow, it would make sense. Murray came out. Portland basically immediately went on a 22-4 run and cut like a 19-point Spurs lead. And they asked Pop after the game about bringing Murray back in. He was just like, you're either on a minutes limit or you're not. If I brought him back in, that would imply he's not on a minutes limit.
Yeah.
So that makes it tough when he's not cheap. Like
yeah.
He obviously is really good, but there's only so much you can do if you're playing 22 to 24 minutes.
Is Bryn Forbes interesting to you?
I always get more Bryn Forbes than I want just because of the minutes.
Yeah, same. I feel the same way. Roughly 20%.
It's one of my least favorite feelings in DFS is like scrolling through and being like, oh, I have a lot of PMR in this really good lineup, and it's like, oh, that's because Bryn Forbes hasn't started.
Yeah, it's Bryn Forbes and Landry Shamet.
Yep.
Anything else for this Spurs team?
This might be the least appealing team on the slate to me, and I don't love that, but
yeah, because anytime the Spurs aren't appealing, it's the day that they like jack up their rotations and you need like 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
Rudy Gay, Trey Lyles, and Aldridge foul trouble, meaning Jake Puddle gets 25 minutes as the core 3 you need or something stupid.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned, I tweeted the other day, and it was a stat that I don't think had huge implications. It was just interesting to me. But as of, I think it was Tuesday, DeRozan was second in the NBA in drives per game, and he was passing on like 50% of them, but only averaging 0.3 assists off of those drives, and also only averaging 6.7 potential assists per game. So he has the ball a lot. He's driving, not taking a ton of shots off those drives. And then it seems like probably, San Antonio swinging the ball, or he's just making passes out of desperation as opposed to actually hitting an open guy. So, on the one hand, he does have the ball a lot, and his assist totals are going to come up. On the other hand, though, not creating a whole lot of potential assists right now.
Something I mentioned or forgot to mention before, Jackson Hayes is a power forward on FanDuel.
That's cool.
Yeah. So makes him a little bit more interesting.
If this was last year, you would just play Hayes and Okafor together.
Yep. And hope for the best.
Yep.
Well, not hope for the best. Just know that you don't have to care. I guess it's probably the easier way to say that. All right, let's sum it up. Favorite plays on DraftKings today?
Okafor, Jokic, Collins.
Bembry, Okafor, Jamal Murray. Be my... God, it's going to be gross. News will be interesting if we get any today. That's for sure. Well, that's where we stand. That's all we've got. Coming up immediately after this in like 9 more minutes, 11 a.m. Eastern, you get Laffy, you get Sal, talking some NFL. Adam, you just deeper dive today?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, check out everything we've got to offer. All the YouTube events are there, so go enjoy that. We'll have cheat sheets are already out. We've got a ton of stuff going on. NFL tonight as well. Ooh, speaking of, oh no, they don't do the live before lock NFL show. They do it during the day. I was like, oh, we'll also have that, but that's also not true. You get Fast Eddie today, guys. Be happy. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Yahoo for being the presenting sponsor. Use the promo code AWESOMO when signing up at Yahoo to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports Rewards points. Use the promo code NBA Strategy when signing up at AWESOMO to get 50% off your first month of AWESOMO Plus. I will be back tomorrow morning. No, I won't. Actually, you guys get a surprise guest for the strategy show tomorrow. Laffy does not get me. You will be joined by Ben Rasa, making his strategy show debut for the NBA. He and Laffy will take you through tomorrow's slate. Got to go to the vet, get the puppy checked out post gallbladder removal. Gotta love it. Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll talk to you later.